I recently heard stretching is pointless. Should I keep stretching or not worry about it anymore?
Antonio, I love that question. I'm sure that you're excited about the pasta conversation
Yeah, I was
that we
gonna.
just had. So is stretching pointless? Should you not worry about it anymore? Classic answer, it depends. It
Hmm.
depends. But here's the thing, static stretching. So static stretching would be what you would think of as the old school stretching. Think of leaning over to touch your toes, keep your legs straight, and just stay in that position for 30 seconds. The whole team counts it out, and then I get fired up when we go to games and we see teams still static stretching before the games. But anyway, like static stretching is being questioned to be retired as a as a component of physical activity for a lot of reasons. But one reason being is that your muscles and tendons don't change from static stretching. What changes is your sensory nervous system. And there's research from Peter Magnuson and Welper that have followed this for years now and have showed that, yeah, you're just changing your toleration because of the sensory system.
Mm-hmm.
And if your goal is to improve range of motion, static stretching can do that, right? Like there's nothing against that.
Hmm.
If you're a gymnast and you need to get your knee up towards your head, or a performing artist and you need to be able to do full splits, you probably need some static stretching. But at the same time, the question then becomes, is there a way to improve that range of motion while also changing the muscle and tendon so that the more stretchy that we get, we're also keeping stability? And the research has shown, yeah, there's a way to do that, and it's through eccentric strengthening and lengthening. So that has become a much better approach to improve range of motion and keep a level of strength that is needed to do these higher level activities. The other component of this is that when we say stretching, if it's dynamic stretching and dynamic mobility is a great warm up before getting into an activity. Static stretching might be a good cool down, right? It's like the end of your workout and you're just exhausted and you just want to kind of open up some areas and you understand that it's not changing the muscle or the tendon, it's just working on the sensory system, it's working on the fascial tissue. Why not do it
Hmm.
if you have the time? But don't spend your time doing a 30-minute static stretching program when you could be doing other things that'll lead to better health markers,
Hmm.
right? So it's not that you shouldn't be doing it. If you're crunched for time, then take it off the list. It's not needed. If you enjoy it and you want it to be a part of your workout or part of your movement routine, awesome. Just do it in the cool down instead of the warm up.
Hmm.
So if you're going to keep stretching, just be intentional
Hmm.
of when you're doing it, why you're doing it, and understanding that, if you have tight hamstrings, static stretching is probably not going to get you to where you want to be long term.
Hmm.
Eccentric strengthening could get you there. Pelvic control could get you there. Getting rid of some fear, getting rid of some muscle guarding will get you there.
Yeah.
So just be intentional of why you're doing it. And yeah, and if you're a coach or you know coaches or anything like that, and you're static stretching before you're going out onto the field or on the court, please stop. Please just don't do that anymore. Like the research isn't there. Dynamic mobility will go so much further.
Hmm.
The programs that I've worked with, I've been so excited because I've gotten there, and their warm-ups have been awesome.
Mm.
They've been so good, and I'm just like, wow. And guess what? The coach is older, like retired from his normal job, and just keeps coaching because the guy loves it.
Hmm.
So he keeps coaching, and people, well, it's old school. This is what we do. Well, how come this old school coach is using new methods? Because he actually cares enough to keep up with stuff.
Right.
Like, sorry if that's
Yeah, it's fine to be
insulting or
direct.
saucy, but it's true. It's
It's
like,
just direct.
don't set up our kids for failure because you didn't do your job at asking the question
Hmm.
or seeking this stuff out on your own. Because you do a quick Google search, should I static stretch before a game? And you're going to get a lot of articles that will tell you no. And if you want the real research, Magnuson and Welper,
Hmm.
follow them. They great stuff.
Well, I was thinking too back when I was in high school, so 10 years ago. I feel like 10, 15 years ago, if we start early high school, that was around the time that there were some, like some gym classes, like one year would be static stretching and then it would change. And um, I remember like being later in high school before, basketball practice or whatever, in gym class, we would start doing dynamic stretching. And I never like understood why, but it's funny because that was again over 10 years ago. And recently, like I remember recently we were at a football game and they came out after halftime and one team was dynamic stretching and one team was static stretching. And I was like, since when do we still do static stretching in that specific situation? Because they were in the middle of a football game coming out after halftime.
Right.
And I don't know, not that that coach is a bad coach by any means, but like just do what's best for the kids, and that is not static stretching if you're specifically doing the game like in the middle of a game or what have you.
Right. Exactly. Serve your players,
Mm-hmm.
follow what's coming out. And again, right, there's a lot of different debates. There's a lot of things. Should I change this? Should I not change this? There's a lot to take in. And the reason I started this off with by saying it's being questioned to be retired
Hmm.
as a component of physical activities to paint the picture of how useless it really is.
Yeah.
Unless, again, you are a gymnast and you need that
Mm-hmm.
little extra at the end of a workout to get to where you want to be, and you're doing the other
Mm-hmm.
things, right?
What about, and I hope I don't offend a listener because I'm not that familiar, but what about something like yoga? Like yoga is kind of stretchy, right? But there's movement within yoga, so that wouldn't count as static stretching, right?
Yeah. So let me say it this way: yoga takes a lot of flexibility in
Mm-hmm.
the body, but the flexibility in the body comes from the flexibility within the brain.
Mm.
I I stay away from yoga classes because I disrupt them, because they get into
You're like,
positions that are
oh.
super challenging and that you have to hold for a while. But know that the positions that you're holding are challenging to your core. They're
Mm-hmm.
challenging to your breathing. So you're still getting a lot of dynamic stability and training and other components of it
Mm-hmm.
that you wouldn't get with just a static stretch.
Sure.
So I don't think you offended any of the yogis out there. I think they're
Okay.
probably excited because they're like, yes, like you kind of get it. And it's like, thank you for not coming to the class and disrupting us with your noises. Because, oh man, you can squat all this way, deadlift all this way, handstand push-ups. I get in a yoga class and the instructors, we're in a down dog. Like, all right, we're gonna hold this for 3 minutes. Like, use your core, engage your shoulders, find your ground, breathe. I'm trying to breathe. I can't breathe as I'm doing this. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry for the people that wanted the quietness. So I just I do my own yoga,
Mm-hmm.
quote unquote, after workouts. But there's a lot more to yoga than just like holding a stretch position. There's a
Sure.
lot of mindfulness, a lot of grounding, a lot of stability that the body takes on.
Mm-hmm. Love
And
that. Just
yeah,
a little side question in the midst of that,
yeah.
but